dissipated. Maybe we could start with a moment of silence, not only for our two, but for all that's here on this hill. Thank you. This is tough for me. There's a great man up here on the hill. And my dad, my mother's up here. There's some veterans up here that I served with in the Vietnam era. And it's such an honorable thing that we do. This car club, the supporters, like Stephanie, and the people that help us, so that we can indeed put burial to people like Solomon Durand and Katie Beckman, because they had no family. She was the last survivor, and I was telling Stephanie on the way up here is that nobody could find her because of her maiden name. When she served from 42 to 45 in the 80s, we've got her records there, the distinguished things that she did, and to have nobody to put her to rest. She sat in Milwaukee, Oregon for 10 years. And so when we found her, along with Randy J. from Crown Funeral, and we found Durand Solomon in Tualatin, we put burials to him up here in the right way last year. And I want to thank you all that were here last year. It was awesome. The bagpipes, the 21-gun salute, the flag folding ceremony, everything was just top-notch. I wish we could have repeated it today, but once again, I think there's something telling us that maybe we should be moving this from Flag Day, which this hill is being honored so strong today. And on Veterans Day, when I came up here to find 92 and 93, there was one flag out here coming up the hill. So I think we'll probably be moving our ceremony to Veterans Day, when there'll be a little bit of recognition for these vets that are up here. But once again, I want to thank everybody for showing up. And who wants to say something? Any of you? If President, you want to say something about your car club?
Just want to thank all the members of the club for showing up today and showing their support for our club and for what we do. And a special thank you to Ken Crawford and Keith Presky. Thanks, both of you gentlemen.
Keith has donated all the flowers today, and they're all lined up here. And Keith, there's going to be some other people that are appreciative. You've got quite a stretch here. So, you know, our hearts are in the right place. It's a great mission, and we'll carry forward with it. And once again, I just want to thank you. Did you want to say something? Do you want to read the prayer by chance? Oh, we can do that. It's a really tough one. There are so many people, the law enforcement, military, I'll tell you. I take the motto of the car club because it's the right thing to do. Stick with us forever. Don't ever forget it. You know? Somebody ever asks you, the news media or anybody cannot distort because it's the right thing to do. As Kenny Hessman, he couldn't think of anything to say when he asked me. That's it. It's the right thing to do, and we're doing the right thing. Proud of everybody here, believe me. But here we go. He was getting old and paunchy, his hair was falling fast. And he sat around the Legion telling stories of the past, of war he once fought in, and the deeds that he had done. His exploits with his buddies, they were heroes, everyone. And though sometimes his neighbors, his tales became a joke, all his buddies listened quietly, for they knew what of he spoke. But we'll hear his tales no longer, for old Bob has passed away. And the world's a little poorer. Whose soldier died today? He won't be mourned by many, just his children and his wife.
they lived an ordinary, really quiet sort of life. He held a job and raised a family, going quietly on his way. And the world won't know this passing. Though a sail of soldiers. Politicians leave this earth their bodies lying still. Thousands note their passing and proclaim that they were great. Papers tell of their life stories from the time that they were young. The passing of the soldiers goes unnoticed and unsung. And the greatest contribution to the welfare of our land, some jerk who breaks his promise and cons his fellow man. Or the ordinary fellow who in times of war and strife was off to serve his country and offers up his life. The politician's stipend and the style in which he lives are often disproportionate to the service that he gives. While the ordinary soldier who offered up all is paid off with medical, or with a medal, and perhaps a pension small. So it's easy to forget them, for it's so many times that our Bobs and Jims and Johnnies went to battle. But we know it is not the politicians, but their compromised employees who won us the freedoms that our country now enjoys. Should you find yourself in danger with enemies at hand, would really want some cop-out when there's never a waving sting? Or would you want a soldier in his home, his country, his kin, just common soldier who would fight until the end? He was just a common soldier, and his ranks are growing thin, but his presence should remain. His presence should remind us we may need his like again. For the countries are in conflict, we find a soldier's part to clean up all the troubles that the politicians start. Sort of appropriate, I think. You know that? If we cannot do him honor while he is here, to hear the praise, then at least let's give him his homage at the end of his days. Perhaps just a simple headline in the paper might say, "Our country is in mourning, a soldier died today." Pass on the patriotism. You can make a difference. Thank you, Dave. Sorry.
And today we did make a difference. Thank you, Dick.
Yeah, thank you.
Dick and I go back quite a ways, Clackamas County. Veteran stories to be told. Many. A gentleman that worked with him was first sergeant at the Oregon Military Academy with me for over 20 years. So there's some real heart in what we've done today. And there's coffee and there's donuts down at VFW Hall 4248. And that's exactly where we met last year when we completed this ceremony. And anybody that doesn't know their way down there, they give us donuts and coffee, and we can link up down there and have a quick cup of coffee. But to emphasize a little bit on what Dick said is that I came out of that shed last year and unannounced, I didn't know what was going on in Channel 6. Took a little pin and they put it on my lapel, and they said, quote unquote, they didn't do an icebreaker, they didn't ask my name, they didn't do anything other than they said, "Why are you doing this?" And they witnessed everything. They witnessed the bagpipes. They saw the 21 gun salute. They saw the urns coming out of the back of the hearse. They witnessed the whole thing, and they put the lapel on me and they said, "Why do you do this?"
Okay.
And I stumbled, I was stuttering and I was a little bit, honored in what we did, and then to be asked a question like that from Channel 6, and I couldn't think of what to say. I was telling them about the history of the Missing in America Project and why we do what we do. And when we got down to the VFW hall, we got regrouped, and Dick walked over to me and he said, "Ken, you forgot to say we do this because it's the right thing to do." And that's all I had to say that morning, that I stumbled a little bit. But we got the message across, And the awesome thing was that the director of the Missing in America project, him and his buddy rode a motorcycle up here from Sacramento, California, to be part of our event. And he overheard what Dick said. And when it got national, and it went back east, because Washington was burying 10 the day that we buried these two. And there's just 3 hours difference between here and the East Coast. And it was all happening at the same time. But when the national newsletter came out, it said, because it's the right thing to do. So I was touched, Dick. It was great. So in that, Keith, I want to thank you again. You supported this mission from the ground floor. You've been part of the Missing in America. And I don't know, when we started this car club, we were looking for a mission, and we thought this was bogus information. Keith's military service, my military service, everybody's military service, and we thought, was somebody scamming for veterans' money? And when we investigated and we found out what this was all about and what we did, now we feel very honored in what we've done. And the car club needs to be proud, Jack. It's a great day. Okay? Everybody's out getting ready to go fishing and camping, setting their tents up and everything. We're paying tribute today. Not only to these two, but some very, very special people that are on this hill. Relatives.
Ken deserves a great deal of thanks also for all his work. Guys, let's make this lady for her husband.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be
Thank you.
Tell them it's the end of Southeast at 72.
Yeah, it's down at 72nd.